You are now listening to The Untimely Truth.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Untimely Truth podcast. I am here with my buddy Steve.
Hello.
My name is Chase, and welcome. Please enjoy your stay. We're new at this, so please bear with us while we.
This is our 60th take.
Get a while we get a vibe. Oh no! Take number 60. We need one of those things.
All right.
Today we're going to talk about some predictions. We've got Nostradamus, The Simpsons. The good, the bad, the ugly, past, present, and future. Yeah, you got it.
Not everything.
Well,
a few things.
Just a couple things. Yeah. We only got about 45 minutes. So.
Yeah, that's the most you'll be able to handle.
You're gonna wish it ended at 10, but yeah, this is what you're getting. So, yeah, I think we're just gonna start off with Nostradamus a little bit, just because first thing you think of when you think prophecies, you think Nostradamus. Right? He wrote a book called The Prophecies.
Yeah.
You know.
Les Prophéties.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know? If you want to go ahead and start with yours.
I'm going to read this little quatrain that some people have related to the 1666 London fire. I'll let you judge that for yourself. The blood of the just will commit a fault at London, burnt through lightning of 23 years the 6. The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the sect will be killed. So, I don't know. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But
I mean, it's very old poetic. It's like Shakespeare, right? Like, I don't know if they were from, I don't think they're from the same time, but
similar
time, right? So instead of
where you're trying to say things without saying them, like you're not coming out and saying
you're
it.
Like, this is the art of beating around the bush. Welcome.
Yes. I will take 20 hours, and high school kids will have to ask their teachers several thousand questions to get through my class.
Oh God.
Oh, Shakespeare. Anyways.
Back to Nostradamus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I guess the stretch is it happened to be a fire in London. I mean, it happened in London. He did
commit a fault at London, the blood of the just. But like they're saying the baker was just, but he could have been an asshole.
You never know.
We don't know.
He could have been a terrible person. He could have
been a child molester.
Like, we don't know these facts.
We literally don't. And you know what? Considering the time, he probably was a child molester. Yeah.
So maybe good riddance, but also maybe not.
Maybe bad. Maybe it was also bad. We don't know.
Speaking of terrible people,
Hitler! That's a great transition. All right, let's get into Hitler, everybody.
Nostradamus, supposedly, which he didn't actually, but a lot of people believe that he predicted.
A lot of people on Reddit believe that he predicted.
They believe that he predicted the rise of Hitler.
Yeah.
I'm just go ahead and read this little
quatrain.
The quatrain. From the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop. His fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hister. Into a cage of iron will the great one be thrown when the child of Germany observes nothing.
Child of Germany. So that could be a lot of people. Could be Augustus Gloop.
Yeah, it could be Augustus Gloop. A child will be born of poor people. That's like 90% of the world. Like,
that's everyone.
It's literally everyone. You know, I think the main thing that people take from this is the Hister part, right?
It's so close to Hitler.
It's so close to Hitler, but it's not.
You just want to. You can just taste the Hitler on it.
It's very close. You almost so close.
It smacks of Hitler. Yeah.
But people are just saying it was a misspelling. But like, they didn't have autocorrect back in the day. Yeah. And he was definitely writing these with some ink with a quill. Like, he did not misspell anything, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that, it was a misspelling. I think he didn't mean Hitler. But, definitely something bad happened around that time. So we can just kind of assume it was Hitler.
Yeah, like, people want to. I think, like, there's a part of everybody that might make them feel safer if, like, somebody at least knows what's going on.
I think that's kind of what prophecies are about in the first place.
Security.
Yeah. And then, if the world is ending,
at least we know why and how. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And we could be the ones with the toilet paper when it happens.
We're not like the unsuspecting dinosaurs of...
Yeah, the Mesozoic era, just getting blown to bits.
What a
well,
life.
not yet.
Not yet.
Just very
you
slowly
wait.
by a
Not
virus.
prediction. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. Yeah, I mean, not only did he, I mean, I think there's a couple more.
Well, yeah,
that we
there's
wanted
some
to go
interesting
through.
ones that we can get into. There's the 9/11 prediction, which I think is kind of interesting. There's some fake ones that are going around that
Oh,
are
God.
really interesting, that were like way too specific. Like 2 iron birds will fly into the houses of, and it's just way
Yeah.
too specific. But this one is a real quatrain that some people have tried to like construe to mean 9/11 or to be relating to the attacks.
Right.
So, in the city of God, there will be a great thunder, 2 brothers torn apart by chaos. While the fortress endures, the great leader will succumb. The 3rd big war will begin when the big city is burning. And yeah, that one makes a lot more sense to me than the London Fire one.
Yeah.
Like, to try to like the
Piece
big
together.
city. I don't know if I'd call New York the city of God, though.
No.
Not, you
No.
know.
If you had to pick a city of God, though.
Putting
you on the spot
Lubbock,
here.
Texas.
Yep, there you go.
There we go.
That's how
the
we
city
do
of
it.
God.
City of big cats, big hair, and big God. That's
Big
how it works.
pigs.
Big pigs.
Yep. I think that one's really interesting, actually. But there was a lot of fake ones going out on Reddit and like Facebook back in the day.
Totally.
I guess a few years after, because Facebook's post 9/11. But you get what I mean.
I mean, 9/11 is full of not only tragedy, but like ridiculous conspiracy theories.
Oh, so many hours
obviously
of YouTube
prophecies would be linked to it as well. I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily 9/11, but it definitely could be. You know, twin brothers, twin towers.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Like that one makes way more sense of like to try to make it fit something. But I think like that's the beauty of Nostradamus, is it's all vague enough that it can almost be made to fit.
Yeah.
And especially when this much time has passed. Like this is almost 500 years between when this was written and when this happened. So
Right.
there's going to be
So many things have happened.
There's so many things that, like, it's not like he said on, September 11th, 2001, something
Like
I
he
don't
was
even know
so-
about is going to fly
exactly.
into buildings I can't even conceive of. I don't know. It's just vague enough that people can
He
use
was
it for whatever.
known for being cryptic
Yeah.
and vague. Like he didn't have.
And I've heard that part of that was because of the Inquisition going on at the time. That doing magic and like predicting the future could be like a big legal penalty for you for doing those things.
Yeah.
So to write cryptically and to not be like super, I'm doing magic and trying to predict the future, then the Catholic Church might not go after you as hard.
Okay.
So there's also like that element to his writings as well.
I mean, because he published a book called The Prophecies,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Like, actually, on multiple occasions, went back to his clientele because he had a bunch of clients who
Yeah.
would come and see him.
His
right?
Patreon people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
His OnlyFans. Yeah.
Oh my God, the Nostradamus
Back when it was more for
strip show.
just winking assholes. Yeah, exactly.
He would go back to his clients and retell their future, constantly changing it. And he would blame it on astrology changing. So like if the stars didn't align, things would be very different. So it was almost like if the things that he said, like, oh, you're gonna, your bread business is gonna thrive, Theodore. And then Theodore would be like, it's not thriving.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, oh, it's because the stars, Theodore.
Yeah.
That's why the bread is
Fucking
not.
stars. It's not because your bread is shit and
Yeah.
full of cockroaches. Get your shit together, Theodore. Sorry.
No, but
There's
seriously.
no real Theodore. Everyone.
There's no, sorry, Theodore. Anybody named Theodore,
Yeah.
I'm sure your bread is great.
I'm sure you make good sourdough.
But that's
That's besides the point.
Yeah. And then he had a lot of critics too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
Flame wars.
He got a lot
people.
of some Twitter flame
Twitter
wars.
hate. Yeah.
He had this one guy, Lawrence Vidal, who was also an astrologer. Astrologist?
Mm.
Astrologer?
Either one.
Astronomer.
Astronomer?
He did the thing.
Astroglide.
Whatever he was. Fantastic.
He looked at the sky
he
a lot.
looked at the sky and he did
sure
shit.
did.
He wrote a lot of books and all that fun stuff. But most importantly, his feud with Nostradamus.
With our boy here.
Oh yeah. He had some choice words to eloquently say about
Yeah.
Nostradamus. And let me read you my favorite burn from the 1500s. Okay?
I'd like to hear it.
All right. This is my declaration of the abuses and ignorances of Michael Nostradamus. I can say that with complete confidence that of true astrology you understand less than nothing, as is evident not merely to the learned, but to learners in astrology too. As your works amply demonstrate, you cannot calculate even the least movement of any heavenly body whatsoever.
Fuck.
Essentially saying, you are trash, what you do is trash, you just straight trash.
He's like, I'm about to end this whole man's career.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of that GIF where all the guys are going, "Ooh,"
And the guy's
around
falling
one
back.
Guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how
And
I
this is
think
what
it,
this was. But
Yeah,
it took
for that
2
time.
weeks to come by carrier pigeon. So I would.
And then to attach the GIF to the carrier pigeon. Oh, so
I mean, to get all of
difficult.
those pigeons together in one room
Carry
at the
all
same
the
time.
pictures. Yeah.
So many breadcrumbs.
Lots of work.
So much time.
Almost not even worth it, one might say.
Yeah, so like this guy, he just really hated Nostradamus. He didn't believe that he was good at what he did at all.
No, he's like, come get your man. He's shit.
Yeah, his predictions were false. Like, and I mean, you're gonna have haters. Nostradamus had haters.
Everybody
the more
does.
haters you have, the better you are at what you do.
I work at a grocery store. I have haters.
Right?
Yeah.
All them haters.
All damn haters.
All them haters. And then we're dealing, obviously, with the unfortunate coronavirus at the moment, and everybody's kind of being beaten up by this pandemic.
Shit get real.
Right.
Coronavirus.
And it's shitty, we're dealing with it. But there was a lot of rumors going around that Nostradamus did predict COVID-19. So they had this, I'll read it to you here, but they had this guy or girl, I don't know who you were who did
Let's
this.
be inclusive.
But whoever you was, you did a good
Whoever
job.
you was.
There will be a twin year from which will arise a queen, who will come from the east and who will spread a plague in the darkness of night on a country with 7 hills, and will transform the twilight of men into dust to destroy and ruin the world. It will be the end of the world economy as you know it.
Like I said before, all I hear is Cardi B.
Right?
Queen from the east.
Queen Bee, East Brooklyn.
End of the world as we know it.
This is it. I don't know. I mean, I get how somebody could definitely write this, but it's way too specific for Nostradamus. That's the first giveaway, right?
Yeah. And another thing is the city of 7 hills. He's talking about Italy. He's relating to Italy.
Yeah, Rome.
But Italy wouldn't. Yeah. But I think he's more referring to Italy, and Italy wasn't a thing till like 1917. Like it would have been a bunch of empty city states or like non-united city states.
That's
so,
true.
Like, he wouldn't have been writing about a united Italy because a united Italy didn't exist yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he was writing about anything specific, but this is just way too specific. Like you go through it, right? And you're like, there will be a twin year, 2020. Okay. From which will arise a queen, Corona, who will come from the east, China.
Yeah.
Right?
Depends on where you are.
Well, right, you're correct.
Yeah.
And, country with 7 hills. You got,
Rome.
Italy. And transform the twilight of men into dust. That's, their money, whatever. And then the economy. I mean, we all know the economy is going to crap right now.
I love it. Gas is 92.9.
I mean, no one's complaining,
it's
but
great.
also
Except
everyone's
for rich
complaining.
People. Rich people are complaining.
Yeah, the 99% are not complaining.
Yes, we're all doing pretty well.
Which is totally fine.
Unless you own a small business, because that sucks.
Well, then that is really unfortunate.
Let's not get into that, though. This is not a coronavirus.
And we support
podcast.
local businesses all the time,
That's
as
true.
much as we can. I actually have a really couple fun facts about Nostradamus, though. I'm just going to quickly share those.
Read them.
Fun fact. Nostradamus was actually expelled from medical school.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
What did he do?
You know what's funny? He didn't do anything wrong. He was actually working as an apothecary. But it was super frowned upon by the doctors of the 1500s because I guess he didn't have a license yet.
Oh.
So they were like, nope, you can't come to medical school because you're practicing medicine.
Without a license beforehand.
Yeah.
And then what's awesome is the United States in the 1800s is like no medical license. Like they go back to that Wild West. Like the 1500s is like, no, you need a license.
It was weird how that gap happened.
Yeah, and then 1860 Chicago, like, this has cocaine in it. And
they're
just
like,
give it to your
child.
child.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He also wrote a cookbook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nostradamus wrote a cookbook. Really
Did he write about like future food?
He did not.
Oh, he wrote about food of his time.
He published a cookbook about, actually it was probably the most useful cookbook I've ever read because like there's copies online.
Oh, okay.
And it had so many recipes for like homemade shampoo and like homemade detergent to wash your clothes. And my favorite was like he ground up cuttlefish to make cuttlefish bones to make
Okay.
toothpaste for tooth decay.
Sure. Sorry, phone. I'll get you later.
Which is cool. I don't know. It kind of makes you think. Like, he was a doctor. We don't.
He knew some shit.
Yeah, he knew some shit. And I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna go fishing for some cuttlefish later. Are they endangered? If they are endangered, obviously not. But
I don't think they are. I think they're a pretty good cephalopod. They're doing all right.
Yeah, I think they're doing okay. Good.
We could look it up if we really want.
Well,
but we probably shouldn't because we're talking about Nostradamus.
Yeah, and I think Nostradamus is pretty much done.
Are we moving on from old Nostradamus already?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's only so many times you can hear that, the world is ending. And
that's true.
Young, poor German boys are rising to power. And, like,
little Augustus Glutes.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, fair enough.
We get it. I don't know where you want to head over next. We've got, we could do some psychic.
Yeah, we could talk about some of the weird ways that like mankind has tried to divine the future in previous decades and centuries. Yeah. So I have this one really weird Greek practice called anthropomancy. If I'm probably butchering. Mancy, I believe. Yeah, so the anthropo is human, mancy, divination, I believe.
Cool.
Is a method of divination by the entrails of a dead or dying man or woman, often virgin female children, which is that's so nice. Through sacrifice, this practice was sometimes called splanchnomancy, which is like splatinomancy. It just sounds really kind of gross. But yeah, they just like kind of cut apart your liver and look at your intestines.
And they would do that, like you would be a willing sacrifice, or?
It doesn't say.
Oh, probably not though.
I feel like no.
Okay.
I feel like you're probably bought on a market somewhere, and then you're like, oh, we're gonna go to the temple, and then
they slit you open and start reading your organs.
And they're like, oh, Tuesday it's gonna rain, and you're like, like
just
horrible
death.
Pain. Yeah.
But at least they know.
They know
if the Lakers are gonna win or not.
Yeah. the Greco-Roman Lakers. Palmistry or chiromancy is kind of a cooler name for it. It's the claim of characterization and foretelling the future through the study of a palm. So just palm reading, like what you see gypsies do.
Yeah, like the lifeline and like all that.
Yeah, your love line, all that. And tasseography is a fancy word, which means interpreting patterns in tea leaves, coffee grounds, or wine sediments in order to determine the future. So people also do this with hot chocolate, beer, or juice. It can be pretty much done with anything that you drink, I guess, that has like a pulp in it. But I don't really get how that one works. And then there's like all the regular ones like tarot cards, stuff like that.
For sure.
But the tea one is really strange to me because every video I've seen where someone reads the tea leaves, they all look exactly the same. Like they all stir it up and then there's just tea leaves in the middle.
I have a really graphic story that I'm going to quickly share about tea leaves because I didn't know we were going to talk about tea leaves. A family member of mine on my mom's side actually used to read tea leaves. And one day, I don't know if I necessarily believe in all of this, but this is pretty interesting. So one day she was having her cousin over for tea. They were talking. Cousin was really worried about his uncle. And they were just having a good conversation, and because they used to use loose leaf tea all the time, picked up the teacup, looked at it, and was like, you need to go check on your uncle immediately. You have to go. So the guy did, and the uncle was getting ready to shoot himself.
Whoa, that's insane.
Which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
It is, like, super crazy. And so it didn't happen. He did save him. But imagine if, he's worried about his uncle, but they were kind of estranged, so he wasn't going to go and see him.
He wouldn't have gone otherwise, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then,
pretty
I
weird.
don't know, my mom used to tell me that story all the time, and I would think, like, interesting.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
That's just a fun fact.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting
But see, tea leaves, right? The future, like, that was the future. That was a prediction.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortune telling and fortune reading and all that fun stuff. I have a couple of good ones. They actually used to read cheese.
Yes, I love this one.
Cheese. Can you imagine? So
I just imagine a bunch of people in Wisconsin like, let's all go look at the cheese here and it'll tell us that the Packers are going to win.
Called triomancy, divination using cheese. So they would actually look They would cut the cheese for you. I guess it would have to be like a Swiss cheese or something. Because they would
Okay.
use the holes.
And then uncles everywhere would make jokes.
Totally.
Yes. Okay.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Cutting the cheese.
Yeah. I can just imagine.
They would use the holes in the cheese to like decipher letters or symbols or a heart or a dagger or stuff like that to see what your future would read. So I guess you would like cultivate this cheese and like let it mold and grow and whatever cheese does.
Your magic cheese. You
Magic
let it become
cheese.
magic. Okay.
And then that's your future. Future's in the cheese, man.
Future's in the cheese.
Yeah. So if you were a dairy farmer, you'd be hella rich, son.
Yeah, I'd just be selling future cheese.
Yeah, Swiss cheese.
Magic 8-ball. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What's the other one? We talked about another one.
Chickens.
Chickens.
Man,
I love this one.
I love chickens.
They're interesting. They're like little dinosaurs that you keep in your
right.
yard.
Like, and they got those really cool fuzzy ones that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways,
they're kind of creepy. But...
the fuzzy chickens are creepy.
Yeah.
Called electromancy.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, which sounds like electrocution.
Yeah, it sounds
it's
like
not,
you're
though.
just shocking the shit out of someone.
Or electriomancy.
Okay.
Whatever it's called. Divination using chickens. So, I mean, future telling with chickens. Like, I guess you'd literally put a chicken down in the middle of the road and, some single woman would be like, which way will my husband come from? And then the chicken would go a certain way and then she'd wait there for literally years.
And then it was like, hey, Laureline. You've been waiting for that chicken a couple days? Yeah, that chicken told me you gotta marry me.
You gotta marry me, Laureline.
That chicken told me you're gonna be my wife.
Or like a really fun historical story. It's not fun at all. It's just murder.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have an interesting story. It's a suicide. I have an interesting. Yeah. Okay,
sorry, I know. I love murder.
I love it.
No.
Who doesn't? It's one of my favorite murder.
During the reign of Emperor Valens, which was like Roman era, he wanted to, because he was the emperor, right? And all of these little Roman couriers were trying to figure out who was going to be his successor. So they put a bunch of letters in the sand on the ground, put a bunch of feed in them, and then let the chicken pick which ones it was going to go to. And it spelled a name, Theodotus, which was going to be this dude's successor. They knew a Theodotus. So they went and found him, brought them all together, talked to the emperor, and
it's the chicken Ouija board.
Right? Essentially, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for like live people, I don't know if how that works. Imagine an arranged marriage because of a chicken.
Yeah, well, we'll look at Laureline.
Laureline!
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, Theodotus and the chicken and the Roman couriers were all murdered by Emperor Valens because he didn't want a successor. He wanted to live forever. And it was also
don't we all?
The Romans. So that's what you get, man.
I feel like that's what Jeff Bezos would do. If he still could, that's what he'd be doing
probably
with his time. Yeah, it sounds very Roman Emperor-esque.
Totally.
I like it.
Man, yeah, people have been doing this for years.
Since like the beginning of time, I would imagine.
Humans came out and they were like, we want to know more about what's going to happen next.
But like, what's going to go on tomorrow?
Yeah, we have fire and this is it now.
Yeah, this is all we talk about is shit that's going to happen next Tuesday. I like it. All
right. Where do you want to head this podcast to next?
Well, we still got some more material. We got the Titanic.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right?
In 1898, there was a guy named Morgan, and he wrote a story called Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan. And in it, he pretty much described a big ship, biggest ship in the world, crashing into an iceberg, and the entire crew going down with it.
Didn't he predict it on like the right day, too?
I did not read that.
Or the amount of people. That could be like a fake Facebook thing too.
Totally.
But I thought he like predicted the right amount of survivors. Or
it would be super cool if he did. Like I personally also never read this book.
Fair enough.
But about 14 years later, I think it was 14 years later, the Titanic sank.
In real life.
And they were like, "Oh, Morgan Robertson."
Did he predict there wasn't enough room on the door, though?
Oh, see,
was that in there?
We need to read.
We need to read the book,
and then we're gonna do an entire episode,
do a whole podcast on the Titanic.
Yes,
and
it's gonna be terribly boring. Get ready for that.
Yeah.
But there are also some crazy Titanic conspiracy theories we should get into in another episode. Like
Anything bad that's happened, there's a conspiracy
oh
theory
yeah,
around
anything
the
good
bad
that's
thing.
happened. There's like,
Yeah.
why did this happen? It's too good to be true.
That's
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff about the Titanic. But another crazy guy is Mark Twain.
Oh, Samuel Clemens.
Oh,
The douchebag fact everybody brings out when
Right?
they're like, "Oh, I'm smart."
Like, look, I read. Here are my glasses.
Yes. Did you know his name was actually Samuel Clemens?
Mark Twain
Hmm.
actually predicted his own death. Kind of.
Okay.
Bear with me. So he said, I came in to this world with Halley's Comet in 1835, and it's coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it. It will be the greatest disappointment of my life if I don't.
Yeah, he totally killed himself.
He died April 21st, 1910, the day after the comet returned.
Yeah, 'cause
Right?
he was sad that he missed it the night before. He's like, now I gotta kill myself.
Well, this is my thought. Like, he was an amazing author.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
known as a super good humorist. Like, he wrote a lot of jokes. And imagine being a legend. Because Mark Twain is literally written on, like, every journal, calendar. His quotes
Yeah.
are everywhere. And
Real name was Samuel Clemens.
right, so Samuel. Just to rub that in there one more
Yeah,
time that we know. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing. Like, imagine being that legend that came in and went out with Halley's Comet.
That'd be cool. Just goes with your legendary status.
Right.
Your mythos surrounding your life.
So this one's kind of like less of a prediction, more of a plan, more
Yeah.
of a suicide. I don't know.
More of a, like, I'm gonna off myself, like, next time this comic comes
Is this
around.
how conspiracy theories are formed?
Which, speaking of offing yourself next time a comic comes around, we need to do a podcast about what's that cult that killed themselves? The Hale Bopp cult.
Oh.
Heaven's Gate. We need to do a Heaven's Gate episode at some point. But speaking of Heaven's Gate, and not at all of Heaven's Gate, we're going to move on to my favorite part, The Simpsons.
I love this.
And my favorite prophesier, Matt Groening. So, a lot of people know that The Simpsons have been known for predicting the future, and some of it's like pretty straightforward, like they predicted Apple Watches and stuff like that, but like that's not that interesting to me. My top three, when I went through, I siphoned through a couple of these today. My top three Simpsons predictions are The Shard, which is
the Shard?
The Shard.
Oh.
The Shard. We know this. Season 6, episode 19 of The Simpsons it's supposed to be 15 years in the future.
Mm.
So it is set in the future. Lisa's getting married, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a building in the background near the bridge in London that is a building that is there now, but wasn't there 15 years until after that episode was animated and put out to air.
Right.
So some people have said this is evidence that The Simpsons, or at least Matt Groening, knew that the building was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Take what you will from that one. That one's, pretty interesting.
See, I like that because it's almost like maybe was the architect just like a really big Simpsons fan?
Yeah.
And
he's just like, please make this real.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to do that.
I will do this right now. There needs to be a big pointy building in the middle of London. This one is probably my favorite one. I really like this one. It's the 9/11 pamphlet, which if you've looked up any Simpsons predictions, Matt Groening, future telling kind of things, you'd have definitely seen this one. It's where Homer gets a boot on his car, and I believe it's towed to New York. So they have to take a bus trip to New York.
Right.
And so Bart holds up this pamphlet that's got a $9 bus trip to New York on it, which $9 I think is a really weird number in the first place to be there.
Be like $9.99 or
yeah,
like,
or $10 or $5. Like, it just seems
or
like
like
a weird
$3.50 for bus fare. Like, we got
per
it.
person. Who knows? But the background is the New York City skyline, and the Twin Towers are there, making the 11. So there's a $9 and then the 11 right next to it, which I think is kind of interesting and kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But like, it could definitely be a coincidence. But it also kind of weird. Like,
it's kind of interesting, hey?
Yeah, because that's in season like 5 or 6 as well.
Like, weird design choice. If you weren't trying to predict something.
Yeah.
Weird
like
design choice.
Absolutely. It feels like some of like the backwards masking in those old like rock songs that people would find and stuff. Like, you don't know how much you're looking for it and how much like is actually there. That's real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, once the guy says, "Oh, when you play Led Zeppelin backwards, you hear My Sweet Satan," then every time you hear it, that's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
To you, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you're looking for something, But I don't know. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, somebody went on here and was looking for predictions, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then I think like the saddest of them all is in season 11, episode 17,
break my heart.
Bart to the Future, Donald Trump's presidency. Which you made a really good point about this, because this is a good, like, he really didn't even come out as interested in politics in any way
He was
until
not
about
a political
2015.
figure until he was one so quickly.
Yeah, he was a wrestling figure.
Right. And he was just like, look at my hotels. I, bankruptcy 1,000 times.
You're fired.
Like,
He's the you're fired guy.
yeah,
Like,
he's
yeah.
oh god.
So it's just such a weird thing to see coming. But then part of me is like, The Simpsons is so much about a cynical view of like ultra capitalist, like the American dream, kind of like poking fun of that. So I wonder if like just as a joke, they're like, America's on this, like everything is wrestling, like everything has to be so entertaining all
Totally.
the
Because
time.
that's what it was right at that
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, and I think they're like, they almost predicted that attitude in America, that they're like, we don't want boring politicians that are going to explain their policies. We want somebody who's going to entertain us and be like a reality TV star.
Yeah.
And we're all part of this reality TV series together.
Well, it's the same.
So I don't know if they added that on purpose to mock America, but it is kind of weird because it happened.
It's interesting, and it's happening. It's
Yeah.
still an
It's still happening,
unfortunate
and it could happen
current
again.
event.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's so cool because I don't really know a lot about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I don't know a lot about the Terminator.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's the governor of California,
Or was. I don't know if he still
I don't know if he
is.
still is, but he was. That's an interesting thing. Like, I bet he was the coolest governor. Like,
I saw him fry an egg on his tank. That was pretty interesting.
okay, so
Yeah.
there you go. Making the world a better place one Friday at a time. But
I guess it's a name recognition thing too, right?
it's super true.
So if you're already famous, you're halfway there.
One other one that I want to mention before we finish up, if that's cool with you,
Yeah, let's do it.
is the herring.
Okay.
So people used to cut up herring, like the bird,
Okay.
and the fish, I guess, as well. Like, I don't know, they didn't really specify. And it would tell them, based on what happened when they threw it at the wall, it would tell them what their significant other was supposed to look like.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so like if it hit the wall and it made like a super long line, it would be like, your husband has a gigantic nose. Go look for a guy with a big
I did not
nose.
think you were gonna say nose, but okay.
It's just the biggest nose.
Biggest pelican entrail dick ever.
Ew. I thought about this one and I wasn't sure I was gonna mention it, but just imagine like you go up to somebody and like it's like 1920s or whatever.
I hope you're not still splattering pelicans
Like,
in
please
1920s.
stop. Because
I'm hoping
where
this
was
is like
this again?
1520s.
Belfast.
Oh, okay. They're doing weird shit. in
They're
Germany.
always doing weird shit.
They're
in
probably
Germany,
still doing that now,
right?
wearing leather.
Like you walk up to somebody in a bar and you're like, one time I threw a fish at the wall.
But it'd be more like, oh, one time I saw this fish at the wall, and I knew that you would be beautiful and you'd be my wife.
God.
Because I pulled it out of a dead pelican that my father found on the beach, and I threw it against the wall of a garage, and I said, oh, there's my wife.
This is my wife.
This is the
Oh, God.
frickin' Germans.
Man.
They wanted to get rid of us. They're throwing shit at the wall.
Throwing some fish and birds.
That's not the least of what they've done. Sorry,
0 out of 10.
Germans.
Sorry, Germany. We do love you.
We do
Just
love
like
you.
a little bit.
We love you.
Could literally go on for hours about.
I predict we won't, though.
I predict we will not either, and who knows, that might be true. I think they just stretched the truth quite a bit. If we want to wrap it up pretty quick,
Yeah.
.
Confirmation bias, I think, is like the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah.
A lot of times is I want this to be true, and my brain is really good at making patterns and finding patterns that aren't there and disregarding information that doesn't fit that pattern.
A lot of predictions are a stretch, unfortunately.
It'd be fun if it wasn't. That's the thing about being a skeptic, is it's so much more fun to not be.
Yeah.
But then you're duped by stuff, in my opinion, anyways.
It depends. Like,
It depends.
it really depends what you're duped by.
For sure. Absolutely.
Like, I'm a big believer in like positivity. So if you are super happy that
Yeah.
aliens exist somewhere in the world, then please.
And you're not
continue.
hurting anybody with that.
No.
Absolutely. I totally get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as to each his own for religion. Whatever.
Whatever.
It's all
Just
good.
don't kick your kids out of your house if they're gay.
Please don't. Yeah. We love
Or
everybody
any
here.
other dumb reason. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think this is good.
I think it's good.
This is our first foray into the digital podcasting of our voices.
Hopefully we will get better at the flow, because
Yeah.
I feel like I just
We're
danced
gonna have
for
to
the
chop
first
this
time.
baby up. This is gonna be like that herring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I danced for the first time and I didn't know how legs worked, so that's what it sounds like.
That's okay. We got her done.
We're good.
I love it. If you want to hear more of Untimely Truth, just tune in anytime.
Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the Untimely Truth. Tuning in like it's a radio station, because I am trash.
Dial in, everybody.
Yeah, I really hope you guys like this, and we'll be making more content in the future, so stay tuned for that. Tuned is my new favorite word. I'm going to use it forever. Okay, goodbye.